Big authors such as Jodi Picoult, George R. R. Martin, and many more are suing OpenAI, and this could have a major impact on AI. This was a long time coming because the field of AI has been advancing so rapidly that it's hard to keep up to date with the new tools and creations that pop up every other day, and more importantly, regulate them. The limit on what AI models can train on and talk about is blurry and lines are often crossed. Creators are in a war with AI, and that's what we'll be touching on today with this lawsuit. So, this lawsuit was filed in September this year and involves two parties. The Authors Guild, which involves authors such as John Grisham, author of The Firm, Michael Connelly, author of The Lincoln Lawyer, and Jodi Picoult, who wrote My Sister's Keeper. And the second party is OpenAI as a whole. These authors argue that OpenAI ChatGPT is being trained using their books without their permission. How they know this is these language models can answer questions about the book's contents in such detail. Details you cannot find in book summaries online. If I were to go to ChatGPT and ask it how many chapters the book My Sister's Keeper has, it would give me an exact number. Of course, due to the lawsuit, the model now refrains from talking about the information from copyrighted sources. But what if I were to ask Google Bard the same question? It can give me a detailed description of what happened in a particular chapter of the book. So I think it's safe to say that books are being used to train these AI models without the author's permission. Just for a bit of context, as much as we call it artificial intelligence, these language models don't have a brain of their own. The only way they can understand our prompts is by comparing our language and phrases with what they have been fed as training. Due to this, users of these AI tools can easily access contents of books, and authors are not compensated at all, not for the training of these models or for distributing information about these books. This brings us to the main argument of this case: fair use. What is fair use? Think of it as a rule or exception that allows the use of copyrighted material without obtaining a license. According to US law, using copyrighted material for research, news, commentary, and non-profit education is okay. But there are nuances to this. Not all non-profit education use is fair use, and not all commercial use is wrong. It depends on the case. This question of fair use has been discussed before in a case involving the Authors Guild and Google. This case was filed in 2005 and it argued that Google's scanning and digitization of millions of books was copyright infringement because they didn't seek the author's permission. Google argues that it is democratizing access to knowledge, which means making knowledge more readily available and removing the barriers around it. Eventually, the ruling was in favor of Google because under the Google Library project, Google was digitizing and making millions of books available to the public for free. That did wonders for researchers who generally don't have an access to a library or are looking for books that are rare or not printed anymore. On the other hand, some criticize Google because this harms the author's ability to sell their books if Google were to make part of or the entire book completely free. In my opinion, making information available for free is a good thing. You shouldn't have to pay to explore or learn more about the world you live in. What's wrong is doing this without the original creator's permission, so this isn't entirely correct. The question of fair use pops up often in the world of internet companies, especially now that AI is on the rise. Such is the case with Midjourney. So now that we have understood the basic idea behind fair use, what repercussions can this have on the authors? Most of it has to do with OpenAI or other AI companies eating up what income rightfully belongs to these authors. Because 1. AI tools can easily produce summary points and talk about them in depth, which eradicates the need to buy a book. Number 2. After going through so many books, AI tools can detect the patterns in how certain authors write and can imitate them and perhaps ghostwrite books. That means massive losses for these authors because AI could write a book within seconds compared to the number of years authors usually need. Number 3. Individuals or small companies trying to train their AI models have limited resources, so they might just turn to piracy to get ebooks rather than buying them from a legitimate source. However, if the Authors Guild does win this case, it could be a turning point for AI companies. Regulators will look more closely at the resources used to train these AI models and the kind of things AI models produce or talk about. For example, text-to-image generators such as Midjourney, which uses artists' work as training data without their permission. So, a new layer of rules and regulations could provide security and a peace of mind for artists, creators, singers, songwriters, photographers, and filmmakers that their craft is safe. AI companies will then have to be very careful with the data they use to train their AI models. If they do wish to use copyrighted material or talk about it, they'll have to pay the owner first. Yes, training models this way will take far longer, but at least the rightful owner gets the credit they deserve. But as much as we like the authors to win, the odds are stacked against them. Just look at the parties involved. A small organization of authors versus an $86 billion company. With more than 1 billion monthly users, Microsoft's investment dollars, and of course the ability to hire some of the best lawyers. The odds are stacked against them. So, looking at how unfair this case is, we might see a repeat of the Authors Guild versus Google case. That is it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys found this video informational and helpful. If you did, drop a like on this video. I will really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.